One of the, big mantras that Canadians, especially progressive Canadians, I should say, but, again, conservative Canadians seem to be glomming onto this as well, is this stand with Ukraine thing. It's like, it worries me because I feel like people aren't really thinking through the things that they're saying. They just see other people saying, I stand with Ukraine. Trump is bad for pulling funding from Ukraine. They were so mean to Zelensky in this meeting, yada, yada, yada. But, I don't think that they're thinking through, what does it mean to stand with Ukraine? Why are we continuing to fund this war? You, again, have a different view than the other politicians that we're hearing from and political leaders that we're hearing from. Tell me what your view on this conflict and Trump's response is, as well as, the Canadian response.
Yes, when people are saying, I stand with Ukraine now, when they're saying that now, that means, I stand for the destruction of Ukraine. Because if they want that, they want the war to go on, like Polyev and Trudeau, more, ammunitions to Ukraine, more, debt in Ukraine. Since the beginning of that war in February 2020, more than 500,000 Ukrainians died. More than 500,000 of them. We must realize that Ukraine lost the war. That's it. That's the reality. So that's the sad reality, but that's the sad reality. Us as a country, that was not our war. We gave $20 billion, that money that we don't have, to Ukraine. Why not giving that to Canadians? And Polyev said that he's putting Canada first, but he's okay when the federal government, it was okay when the federal government gave $20 billion to Ukraine. So what is happening right now? People don't understand that they told us, the media told us that Putin was Hitler. The Putin wants to conquer Europe. And it will start by Ukraine, and after that, that will be other countries. That's not true. That was not the intention of Putin. He was very clear, and he said that long time ago, starting in 2007. The problem, the war in Ukraine, is because of NATO. The Putin didn't want and don't want a NATO base in Ukraine at his door. And we, the West, we did push Ukraine to be part of NATO. We said that in 2008. In 2008, I was the foreign affairs minister for our country. I was in Bucharest, in Romania, and that was during a NATO summit over there. And we decided to invite Georgia and Ukraine in NATO. That was too much, and Putin didn't like it. And because you have to know your history. The Berlin Wall, was destroyed in 1989, and in 1990 we wanted to reunite Germany, East Germany and West Germany, and so we needed to have the approval of Khrushchev and the Soviet at that time. And Khrushchev said, "Okay, I won't fight the reunification of Germany, of Berlin, East Berlin and West Berlin. I won't fight that, but I want a commitment from you. I don't want any NATO enlargement in Eastern Europe. I don't want your troop and NATO troop in Eastern Europe." And we said yes. In 1990, we said yes. We are for the reunification of Berlin, East Berlin and West Berlin, and we won't put any troops in Eastern Europe. We didn't follow with that. In 1999, we added, 3 countries in Eastern Europe in NATO. And in 2004, 7 more Eastern countries with NATO. And in 2008, we said we want 2 more. But remember, in 1962, we almost have a third world war because of the missiles that Khrushchev wanted to put in Cuba. And Kennedy said at this time, I don't want Soviet missiles at my doors in Cuba. And we were able to solve that. Now Putin is saying the same thing, and we said, no, that's not important. That's important for the security of Russia and for the security of Europe. And Trump understand that. And Trump said to Putin, we have a deal. Ukraine won't be part of NATO. And maybe we will dissolve NATO. Maybe we don't need NATO. But at least he said Ukraine won't be part of NATO. And the territories that you conquer, Donbass and Crimea, you will be able to keep it. And why Russia wants to keep Donbass and Crimea? Because the people who are living there are speaking Russian. And they voted in 2014 to be part of Russia. And actually the government in Ukraine did everything to be sure that these people won't be treated equally with other people living in Ukraine. So now the deal on the table is Russia is keeping Crimea and Donbass, and Ukraine will be a neutral country, and Ukraine won't be part of NATO. And if you agree with that, you'll have a deal, and that's what we need to have. And actually, Putin was not, his idea was not to conquer Europe, because just remember, in 2022, February 2022, when he did the invasion in Ukraine, 2 months later, in April 2022, he was ready to sign a peace deal with Ukraine. They had a conference in Istanbul, Turkey, couple of days there, and they had an agreement. Zelensky was okay with that. Putin was ready to stop the war in April 2022. Zelensky went back to Ukraine, and the US under Biden and the UK said, no, don't sign that deal. Our enemy is Russia. We will help you, and you must fight Russia. So all that must end, and it will in a couple of days. And I don't understand why Trudeau and Poilievre wants to give more money, ammunition to Ukraine to go on with that war. The only thing that it will do, Ukraine lost the war. Ukraine will lose more soldiers, and that's not the right thing to do. But yes, we are the only national political party in Canada that is speaking for peace and prosperity in Ukraine. And there's a deal on the table. And the best thing for Europe, for Canada, for Ukraine is to accept that deal.